Hi, boys and girls. We are continuing on with the review. It's chapter 18. I will try to get 18 to 20. I may have to break it up if it's taking too long. Um, okay, God appears to Abraham in the terebinth of Mamre, in Hebrew, Elohei Mamre, and he is sitting at the opening of his tent during the heat of the day. So in chapter 17, he is circumcised, and he circumcises Ishmael, 99 years old, 13 years old, and he is commanded to circumcise everybody in his household when they're 8 days old. So it's 99 years, 13 years, and 8 days. Abraham raises up his eyes, and he sees three men, Shlosha Anashim, and he runs towards them. So it's the first act where Abraham is anxious to welcome guests. You could argue is the second act because he is sitting at the opening of his tent. He sat in the tent door at the opening of his tent. Then he's running towards them and he says, well, you have to come visit me. I mean, that's why you came, no? And he offers them first water and to wash their feet. So he offers them water to drink, he offers them to wash their feet, and he offers them shade to recline under the tree. He then says, I'll get a little bit of bread and eat to your heart's content. And then Abraham, again, he's in a hurry. He hastens, he hurries to Sarah, and he tells her to make flour and to make cakes. Not bread, not pita, not matzah. He tells them to make cake. Oops, I jumped too fast. And Abraham ran into the herd, so where the animals are, and he took a nice calf, a baby cow, and he gave it to his servant, and he told him to dress it up and fix a good meal out of it. And then he took milk. He took milk and curd, butter and milk, and prepared all of that, and he put before them. And they were under the tree in the shade, and they all ate. And then they say, where is Sarah, your wife? And he says, she's in the tent. And he said to her, I will come back to you in a year from now, and Sarah is going to have a son. And Sarah is hearing this conversation from behind her tent, and they're both old. Sarah and Abraham are old, skenim, and Sarah is no longer able to have children. So she is not like a young woman who is able to have children. And Sarah laughed, saying, I'm old and I'm just too old to have children. And Abraham is old, my Lord being old also. And God says to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? How can I give birth? I'm already too old. And God says, is God hiding anything? Does God not know anything? I said that I will come back and Sarah will have a son. And Sarah denies this accusation, and she said, I didn't laugh. Lo tzachakti. So we have this story with laughter, and we had an earlier story with laughter with Hagar in an earlier time. So you'll try to remember those as well. And then God says, fine. So he's resolved. And then the people get up and they look onto Sodom, and Abraham is accompanying them away. He is coming with them as they're leaving. And God says, how can I hide anything from Abraham of what I'm going to do? And Abraham is going to be a great nation, and this covenant is again repeated. And Abraham has to do tzedakah umishpat. Abraham has to do righteousness and justice. And then God says to him, the scream of the poor people, the oppressed people in Sodom and Gomorrah are very heavy. I can't listen to this anymore. Let me go down and see, is it in fact as bad a society as it appears? And they go towards Dom, and Abraham is standing there for a while, and Abraham begins to negotiate with God. Abraham says, will you sweep away, will you destroy the righteous and the wicked? How could that be? Maybe there are 50 righteous people in the city. And will you not forgive them for the 50 righteous people? And then, how could you, dear God, destroy the wicked and the righteous both at the same time? And then another accusation to God. Hashofet kol haaretz, Hashofet kol haaretz lo ya'aseh mishpat. Should the judge of all the earth not act with justice? And God says to Abraham, if I find 50 righteous people, I will not destroy the city for the sake of the righteous. And then Abraham, kind of in all humility, and says, I have taken upon me to speak to the Lord. I'm only dust and ashes. So there's the dust and ashes come up again. Dust came before with the covenant. Your children will be as much as the dust. And then Abraham says, and what if by chance the 50 are missing 5? We'll go to 45. And God says, okay, I'll listen to you. Even if there are 45, I will not destroy the city. Please remember, they went from 50 to 45, and now he is going down to 40. And God says, okay, I won't harm the city, even if there are only 40. And he is again speaking to God. He said, God, please don't get mad at me. I will speak. And what if there are only 30 righteous people? And God says, okay, for 30, I will save the city. And Abraham argues again. What if there are only 20? And God says, I will not destroy for 20. And finally, Abraham says, and what if there are only 10? And he says, I will not destroy. God says, I will not destroy the city for the 10. And the Lord went away when he finished speaking, and Abraham went away. Both of them returned to their place. So just remember the numbers, 50 to 45 to 40, and then by tens, 40 to 30, 30 to 20, 20 to 10. Okay, the two angels, notice that they changed to angels from people. And what happened to the third? The two angels arrive in Sodom. What happened? So we believe that each angel had a duty. One angel told Sarah that she's going to have a son. He's finished. The two of them are coming to Sodom. One is to tell them that they're going to be destroyed, and the other one is to save Lot. So the two angels come to Sodom, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot saw them, and he went out to greet them. Please note that Lot is standing at the gate like Abraham stood at his tent, and Lot is coming towards the guests just like Abraham, and he bows down to them. And he welcomes them to his house, and please wash your feet and come up to my place. And you'll get up in the morning and you'll continue to walk. And they say, no, we'll sleep in the street. Barechov nalin. We will sleep in the street. And he urges them greatly, and they turned onto him and entered his house. So he tries to convince them, and he makes a party for them, and he makes matzot for them, and they eat. Oops, he jumped again. Sorry. And the people of Sodom are nasty people, and they knock on the door and they say, don't harm them, don't treat them wickedly. And so Lot makes a terrible statement. He says, I have two daughters and they've never been married before. And you could take my daughters, just leave the two men, and you could do whatever you want with my daughters. And as you pointed out correctly last time, it's similar to Abraham willing to save himself and sacrifice his wife. Okay, and they came. His people came from the city to break down the door, and finally the angels stick their hand out, grab the Lot, and bring them inside. And they harmed the men. They smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness. Small, great, everybody was for himself. And then they said unto Lot, who do you have in the city? Whoever you have in the city, son-in-law, sons, daughters, daughters-in-law, whomever you have, take them out of the city, because I will destroy the city. And Lot went out and he spoke to his sons-in-law, who married his daughters, and get out of this place because God will destroy this place. And it seems that he thought, his sons-in-law thought that he was joking. They didn't treat it seriously. Mitzachek, again, the laughter, like we had with Yitzchak, like we had with Ishmael. And the morning rose, the angels hurried Lot and his wife and the daughters out of the city, and they basically, he warns them that they're going to die in the city if they don't leave immediately. And he took his time, he lingered, and they held his wife and his daughters because God had mercy, I suppose because he's Abraham's relative. They took them out from the city. And when he took them out, they tell Lot, go out right away, save your soul, don't delay, go to the mountains. And Lot says, please, please don't. If you help me, let me live, and I cannot run fast enough into the mountains. Why don't you let me go to a city called Mitzar, and I will save myself over there. And then, God says to him, okay, I will listen to you for that as well, and not overthrow the city as you have spoken. And he says, hurry up, go to the other place. And the city is called Zoar, in English, Zoar. And Lot arrives to Zoar, and then God rains down. Brimstone and fire upon the city, and he destroyed all the city around there, all the cities in the valley. And Lot's wife looks behind, and she turns into a pillar of salt. And Abraham gets up in the morning and he sees the smoke and he realizes what happened. And this is not moving. I don't know why. I'm sorry, this is probably annoying you. Okay. And then when the cities are destroyed, Lot's two daughters thinks that the world is destroyed, and what's going to happen now? So each one of them gets their father drunk on different days, and they sleep with him, and they are both getting pregnant. First the older one, then the younger one, and they have babies, both of them. And the first one is called Moav, from the father. The second is called